Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. The Amazon original show Invincible just came to a close, so let's talk about it. Before I get started guys, be sure to tell me down below in the comments if you have seen Invincible. If you have, what did you think of it? This is just my opinion. We're all gonna have different opinions, and that's okay. With that said, let's get started talking about some things to know before watching the series, just in case you haven't already seen it. So this show is very violent and very gory. There's a lot of gore, there's a lot of blood, and if you can't handle that, don't watch this show. There's also a lot of language, but I think most people can get over that. But the gore, it's a lot. And some people may think that episode 1 is a bit generic and a normal superhero origin story, but as you get into the end of episode 1, that's where you started to get invested into the story and you're intrigued by what's going on. So when you're watching episode 1, don't quit until you get to the ending. I also want to mention that this show is based off a comic book series, but I'd say that don't read the comic book series, don't do any research about it before watching this show, because I think a lot of it will be spoiled for you because it's based off the comic books. I feel like it's best if you go into this show completely blind. With that said, let's get started talking about the good. And when it comes to the good, this show has a lot, but the first thing that comes to mind is the voice cast and the characters. First off, the cast here is great. We have Sandra Oh, we have J.K. Simmons, we have Steven Yeun. We have a lot of great cast members playing some great characters. The characters are all great. They're not just generic characters. You are invested in them. They have great storylines, especially Omni-Man and Mark, who is also Invincible, the superhero, the main character of the show. So we kind of have all these great characters. And the one we're following the entire series is Mark Grayson. Like I mentioned, he's our main character, and he's the one you're looking at the world through his point of view. And because he's kind of a teenage type superhero like Spider-Man and stuff, you're kind of relate to him. I thought the side characters were really good too. For example, Cecil and Debbie, I thought they had some great character arcs, and their relationship with other characters was great, especially Cecil. I thought he stole the show, especially in episode 7. His arc from the beginning of the series was really good as we get into the finale. And the entire show, until the final 2 episodes, it has kind of like this lingering mystery around it, surrounding Omni-Man. It is obviously Mark Grayson, our hero's father, so like that relationship between Omni-Man and Mark Grayson is great. I think just the way the voice cast plays the characters and the way they interact together, I thought their relationship was really good, and you can actually buy into the fact that they're father and son. The show also has some amazing storytelling, and the entire story from beginning to end is incredible, and you're invested in it throughout the entire time. There's almost no boring elements in the main story. There's some side stories here and there which we'll talk about, but the main plot is very intriguing and the mystery is great. I also love the mythology building of the superheroes in this universe, because I didn't read the comics or I don't have any familiarity with these characters. I like that they kind of set up the groundwork to the superheroes in this show, and the Viltrum, and as we get into the finale where it kind of subverts our expectations, I thought it was great. If you saw the series, you know what I'm talking about. And I really loved the animation in the action sequences. Overall, it's nothing special, but in the action scenes, because it's very violent and very gore, it has more of an impact, and it's shot in a very cool way. So even though it's not real, even though it's animated, it still impacts you a lot because of the violence. I also think this is probably the most violent thing I've ever seen on TV, and that's just like, that says a lot because it's animated and animation is not really all that violent. When I saw this series, I was really surprised by how bloody it was. I think the show also sets up a lot of stuff, and when you get to the ending, it pays everything off really, really well. I think like some of the storylines, some of the character relationships, especially like between Mark and his girlfriend Amber, when we get to the finale, all of it really comes to a point where you're happy to see the relationships, like they're going well. And the Guardians of the Globe, the new Guardians of the Globe, like Rex, Flode, and all those other characters that joined the team, I loved how, like, by the end of the series, they learned to be like a team, because at the beginning, everyone literally hates each other in the team. And by the end of it, even though they're side characters, even though they don't get as much screen time as like Mark and Omni-Man, it pays off really well because you've seen them kind of grow as characters. I feel like this show also sets up a lot for the future seasons, so that way, like, you know what to look forward to when you get to season 2 and season 3. So I'm really excited to see what those seasons are going to be about. I'm really hoping that there's like a PG-13 or PG version of this show that comes out, because my sister really wants to watch it because she loves animated stuff, and I don't want to show her all the goriness because she's only 4 years old. So I was hopefully there's like a PG-13 or PG version that comes out with not as much blood, so that way my sister could watch the series as well. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the series. Those were my positives. Now let's get into my negatives of the series. And really, I don't have much here. I feel like some episodes in the middle were a bit episodic. They felt like completely standalone stories. They had nothing to do with the rest of the storyline. Some of them were good. I thought like episode 5, it didn't have to do much with the rest of the series. Like, it didn't have the main plot line, but it was still really good. It was a great episode and moved Mark's character really well. But there were other episodes, like episode 6, which kind of felt like they had nothing to do with the story and the main plot wasn't interesting. It didn't do much for the characters. So it was a good episode, but I feel like if that episode was cut out, it wouldn't make much of a difference in the entire series. So that's just a couple of episodes I feel like felt like completely standalone stories, but I can get over that because most of the episodes do follow the same storyline and they don't, kind of break that storyline. And finally, unless it's like action sequences, I feel like the animation is pretty generic. It's nothing special. It's normal. And that's not really a bad thing, because I'm not saying the animation's bad. It's just not great. Now let's move into my closing thoughts. And I think this is a great show. This is one of the best animated shows I've seen ever, and possibly the best show of this year. Actually, you know what? I do think it's the best show of the year. Out of all I think I only saw like 4 or 5 shows this year. I'd say this one is easily the best, and I'm honestly kind of surprised to say that because I don't enjoy animated shows as much. And this one really did surprise me because I didn't know what this show was about. I just went into it and I came out really happy. I think it's very emotional, very character-based, and this is definitely one that all superhero fans must watch as long as you can get over the gore and violence. Time for my final score, and I'm gonna give Invincible an A, and from an entertainment standpoint, I'm gonna go a 9.25. I wanted to go 9.5, but I gave Zack Snyder's Justice League a 9.5, and I don't think this one was as good, so that's why I cut it down to 9.25. So, Invincible, have you seen it? If you have, what did you think of it? Be sure to tell me down below in the comments. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.